SNK just stealth dropped one of the most praised Neo Geo Pocket Color games on the Nintendo Switch, Card Fighters Clash, but this version is special. So the game's a crossover card battle game where you collect cards, make decks to compete with against others, either CPU in the game or against another human being. Now, if you recall, the original game was released as two different versions for the Pocket Color. You had the SNK version and the Capcom version. Each one, you started with a different deck, and there were exclusive cards you could collect between the two different versions. Kind of similar to Pokemon back in the day. Now, with this new version for the Switch, it combines both games into one, and it's fairly interesting with the way this is done. So you could play both versions and trade between the two to get all the exclusive cards, and you can also play multiplayer using the save files from both versions on the same Switch. So it's a two-player game. No online multiplayer, but you can play locally. And I thought it was pretty cool how it just made it easy where you can share the save files, exchange between the two. So you could play both versions and trade cards amongst both of them. That was pretty interesting. So the Switch edition, it includes both English and the Japanese versions for both of the games. And each game has their own save files. So essentially 4 different save files. Within the games, there's 300 cards to collect, and like previous Neo Geo Pocket Color collection games for the Switch, you have plenty of options for display and the ability to change the buttons around. I mean, it's only an A and B button. You could rewind the game, view the original manual. The presentation here is very nice for these games, in my opinion. Now, the gameplay for Card Fighters Clash is simple, and the card game's rules are fairly easy to understand. You begin learning the ins and outs and how everything works after like 1 or 2 matches if you didn't pay attention to the tutorial. The tutorial explains everything, but I mean, a lot of times people learn best just by playing. If you don't pay attention to the tutorial, you'll have it figured out pretty quick. So you have character cards and action cards. That's what comprises your deck. Character cards have a battle point rating, which is their attack and health points essentially. When taking damage, their BP is reduced permanently. If they get the 0, they're gone, they're knocked out. Now, character cards, they may also provide SP, which are soul points. These can be used to play action cards as you accumulate it, so that's really the only resource you have in the game, and you get those from character cards or possibly other actions that give you SP. So you use those to play the action cards or perform union attacks. Union attacks combine multiple character cards for one big special attack, which does help bring some strategy to the overall simplicity of the game. Now, action cards can do many things, like reduce opponents' characters' BP, draw cards, rearrange your top deck, return cards to the deck, do direct damage to your opponent, and plenty more. Now, also with character cards, some may have special abilities that trigger on play or can be used during your turn. And these special abilities, they can be fairly similar to playing action cards. Now, during your turn, the gameplay is broken into 3 phases. Your draw phase, where obviously you draw a card. The set phase, where you play cards. You could set a character card, gain SP from those character cards. Not all of them give you SP, but you do need that SP to use action cards and, like I said, union attacks, amongst, a few other things. And during this time, at your set phase, you can also use action cards if you choose by using the amount of SP that is required. Then comes the attack phase once you've done everything during your set phase. You could skip this, or you can choose to attack with any of your possible 3 character cards that you have in play that are not frozen. So once you play a character card, it's kind of like Summoning Sickness in Magic the Gathering. You can't use them that turn, you gotta wait. And there is a limit to only 3 character cards you can have in play at one time. So you do have to choose wisely on who to bring out, depending on what your opponent has on the field, and if you need to rely on accumulating more SP for future action cards or union attacks that you plan on doing. Now, when you attack, if your opponent has character cards that are not frozen from previously attacking during their last turn, they could choose to do a counterattack, which is essentially blocking, you from dealing direct damage. But a counterattack is essentially like their character gets attacked by your character, and then your character attacks them. So damage is exchanged between character cards, and that damage remains, which does lower the character's life and the damage that they can do in the future. So to win the match, you must deal enough damage to reduce your opponent's health points to 0 or below. So there's a lot of strategy involved here. Now the game, yeah, it's a card game, but it does have a story. Very similar to Pokemon, essentially. I mean, you're going to different locations in the little hub world, and you got to defeat the host for each location. There's a bunch of matches you could play. Sometimes the host requires you to have defeated other people in that location first, type of thing. But once you defeat the host, you collect an SC coin. Now, once you have all 6 SC coins, you can enter into the finals and complete the game and become the champion. So the game, it's really fun and simple. It can get fairly involved with deeper strategies depending on how far you want to take it. It's simple. Anybody can grasp this game. It's just so much fun, and I mean, there's a lot to it, but it's an easy one to just pick up and learn. The characters from both SNK and Capcom present very well in the cards. I really like the style that they use, and the graphics of the game. It just has a very unique charm to it. I really dig the presentation here, how the game plays and looks. I highly recommend checking this one out. It's $7.99 on the eShop. I did just buy it today when I saw that it dropped and I had to play it. I love this game back in the day. Around when it first came out, I've always been into card games, and I love, video game adaptations of card games, and then, unique video game card games. I just have a lot of fun with this kind of stuff. Like, you don't have to take it too serious. You don't have to, put in a ton of hours to play unless you want. You could just kind of go at your own pace, accumulate cards, build your deck up, play against people, and, having that multiplayer on one system or playing against somebody else locally. It's a lot of fun. This game, I really wish there was more of these, this series that have come out. I know there was another one that was in Japan that never released here, but I really wish, they would continue on with this, make the game a little more deeper, put a new version out. That would be awesome. You never know, but yeah, Neo Geo Pocket Color, continuing bringing these games out, and, that partnership between Capcom and SNK, who knows? I mean, if they're allowing this kind of stuff to be re-released, what else could be re-released? Looking forward to whatever else comes out. Really do appreciate every single one of you guys, and I will catch you on the next one. Bye.